CFM Radio is what the world is watching. And here we are on another Thursday. Drix, are you with me?
Yeah, it's Wednesday, my dudes.
Oh, it is Wednesday.
We're back.
My bad.
Back for some video game music and news.
Indeed, video game music and news. I am your host, Vector, on a Wednesday, my dudes. And spinning the best video game music, as always, is our great DJ, Venom, a.k.a. Drix. Drix, how are you?
Dude, I'm doing good, and if anybody asks, I didn't spend an hour beating a boss in Neo 2 yesterday.
I mean, who does that?
Yeah, man. Talk about Souls-like, Souls hard. Hope you have your summoning friends to come with you and assist in any battles, but it's a good time. Again, I'm just exploring the PlayStation library of free games like that and Crash Bandicoot 4.
Great games. You know, a lot of people like to shit on those tiers of like the higher PlayStation tiers. And like maybe you don't need the highest tier.
Oof, I do.
I mean, it's pretty pricey, and the biggest draw is like all those classic games. People like to. I will say, you get a lot of game demos, and people like to like not think about that, but you pretty much get an hour of almost every new game that releases when you're on that tier. Like,
that's an interesting part of the bundle, and you definitely get your money's worth in just free games for as long as you have the subscription, collecting them every month. So yeah, there's quite a collection that I'm sitting on and just cruising through to save a buck, you know?
Hey, and like I was saying, there's a lot of great games on there. Crash 4, this month, the PlayStation Plus games are like crazy. WWE 2K24. You've got Dead Space Remastered. Yeah.
Just in time for Halloween.
Yeah, man.
We'll talk about the state of play a little later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The state of play is one of the biggest things that happened this week. Drix, I got to tell you, when push comes to shove, there's both a lot and not a ton that went on in the world of gaming in the last week we've been away, but the things that did go on were pretty huge.
Yeah, decades happen in weeks sometimes around the games.
But before we jump into all of that awesome news, thank you everybody for joining us. Make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, jump in the chat, tell us what you think. And again, we're going to tell you guys, just like we do every week, the streaming schedule. Coming up next week, you're not going to want to miss the top of the week, because Mother Monday coming in hot.
Yeah, Earthbound over at CFM on Twitch, Mondays around 8 o'clock Pacific time. Getting pretty close to the end here. Might be the last couple of sessions, so if you don't catch it on Twitch, you'll have to wait until we get the VODs up on the YouTube.
And absolutely, and you know what? You guys don't want to be missing this Earthbound playthrough. It's one of Drix's second bucket list game that he's going to complete on stream. The first one was Super Mario RPG. He got to do that in a modern sense with the remake. But this one it's totally classic. He's playing it on the Switch through the SNES Classic emulator that they have on there. So if you at home want to be playing a little bit of Earthbound, or you check out Earthbound on a Mother Monday, and you're like, damn, that game looks pretty awesome. It is a classic, and I suggest that you check it out on your Switch if you have Nintendo, or the Nintendo
So
Network.
wacky, so funny, so much good music. I'm always dancing through the battles.
Not to mention some trippy bosses and some trippy backgrounds, some crazy encounters, Drix. That game has encounters in it that it will really, really make you think on your feet. Just like I can recall a couple of ones that you went through. The big ooze. Like,
yep. Anytime you heal before your HP rolls back to 0 is such an accomplishment. Always feels great squeezing off a heal before a mortal wound.
And yeah, because Earthbound is one of those games that it didn't have like a timed hit system where you like tap the button on the attack. Nah, when the health rolls down, you have a chance to actually interrupt the health going to 0, which is pretty cool for such an old school game, and it's not something that you see in very many modern games.
Yeah, and Auto Battle does a pretty fair job if you don't want to do a lot of choosing and stuff like that.
Hey, and
I'm actually surprised he squeezes off heals in time.
Hey, that off heel, that auto combat though, that feature is a modern feature if I ever heard one. There you go, Earthbound being ahead of the game.
Yep, exactly.
And people wonder why it's so influential.
Speaking of Mortal Wounds, you're going to be playing some more Yu-Gi-Oh! On Tuesday, right?
Oh my God. Yes, indeed. But the Mortal Wounds, they did not stop me. If you came in last Tuesday for the Retro Goldmine and the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, 3.5-hour mega stream if you want to go check that out on twitch.tv/CFM on Twitch. That was brutal. If you go back and watch that, it was crazy. I game over 3 times in the first segment of the game. It was
rough start.
Yeah, it was not very kind. Drix, I even had good decks.
Yeah, I mean the game itself kind of just has a rough start.
Forbidden Memories. I was saying this on the stream. Forbidden Memories is one of those games that this ain't your mama's Yu-Gi-Oh. First of all.
No, it is its own thing. One card per turn kind of deal.
Yep, 1 card per turn. You must play a card. You can't advance without playing a card, and you can fuse any 2 cards or 3 cards or 4 cards together. In the VOD, you'll see me moving towards the end of the stream. I'm literally fusing a bunch of attempting to fuse a bunch of monsters that I know won't mix together just to draw a bunch of cards my next turn, because you always draw up to your maximum hand size in Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories.
Yep.
So
yeah,
pretty brutal game, especially if you aren't familiar with the esoteric summoning methods. Again, I'll say it like I did on the stream. Every little nuance matters. It matters whether your guy is a beast, and it matters what kind of beast he is. It matters whether your guy is a fighter, and it matters what kind of fighter he is. Drix, it goes all the way down, and it cuts so deep and splits so many hairs that it matters whether or not your card that you are fusing is male or female.
Yes, a regular Pokemon breeding situation.
It is insane, because there are sometimes you're like, man, this a warrior type mixing with a ground type, normally that's not a big deal. But if your warrior type is Queen's Double and happens to mix with a Dissolver Rock, bam, that's Mystical Sand. Ain't nobody getting that. And in fact, you can get that with any female and a ground. So it really... Plus, there's a bunch of... you saw me on stream. I figured out the fusion, because there is kind of like a Pokemon aspect to it. I figured out the fusion. Yeah. I have this card, Arloneway, and it's like a rose lady, a lady coming out of a rose. And if you fuse her, I figured it out. If you fuse her with any fiend type monster, it goes into her, you could call it an evolved form. It's the Rose Spectre of Dun, and that thing is sick. It's 2,000 attack points, and you know what? Anytime in Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, you can get anything over 2,000 attack points, you're pretty good.
Yeah, sounds about right.
You're pretty good. But if you're interested in this, I know this is again, before I move on, I'll say it like this. I know that Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories is normally a speedrunner spectator sport. Learned that over the last week. But it's I'm not speedrunning the game. I'm just doing it normally. And I'm doing it rather, let's call it a casual playthrough. And I'm not going for the strategies. I learned over the weekend that the strategy for Forbidden Memories is pretty much grind out dragon cards and thunder cards so that you can make twin-headed thunder dragon, which is 28,000 attack points. And that can carry you through the game a good point. But you know what, man? I'll say it like this. That might be the strat, and that's cool and all, but I'm getting through it pretty good with my Flame Cerberuses. So
yes, good boys.
Yes, very good boys. But, Drix, I do believe the best boys are in the video game news. So let's get right to it.
Video game news.
Yes, absolutely.
And okay, so I'm gonna do a really quick. We're gonna sandwich a game review between these two things, but really quick, I want to talk a smaller article of news that came up, and that was the Sonic X Shadow Generations presentation, the Sonic Central presentation, and that blew my mind. Hey, Joseph Ledesma in the chat, thank you. Hey, come back on Tuesday, watch some Forbidden Memories. It's a great time.
Oh yeah, we used to play that.
Hell yeah, that's badass. But you're seeing it on the screen here. Sonic X Shadow Generations, huge blowout on last Tuesday. Yesterday, I should say. That's funny. Yeah, playing the shit out of Forbidden Memories, Drix. On Tuesday, they blew out Sonic X Shadow Generations, and my God, as a Sonic fan, this looks pretty crazy. And not just this, Drix, not just the game, Sonic X Shadow Generations, but they announced a whole slew of new shadow-themed, attractions. And
extras, not just like DLC and stuff.
No,
Things happening around. Man, we took a sneak peek at the a secret Sonic PDF that Sega was passing around. They got big plans for Sonic. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. And that includes Shadow.
Yeah. Hey, I was just about to say, this is right, yeah, M Stonewall C. This the Sonic Shadow footage is looking like Star Fox business. Hey man, that goes that fast. Those are some fast franchises. But they as Drix was saying, if you've been checking out CFM Radio and you've been tuning in, you do know that a while back we covered the big Sega leak, and it was on the schedule. Sonic is not slowing down. I would argue, Drix, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, no, Sonic, they had the data and all the visual aids to show that Sonic is more popular than Sonic has ever been. Sega doesn't need to make consoles for this to be true. No,
and again, going back to this Sonic X Shadow Generations presentation, the Sonic Central presentation, as it would, the blowout is insane. You're seeing the Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings anime series. The first episode just came out today. There's a lot. If you're a Sonic fan, this series these trailers have so many Easter eggs and deep cuts that your jaw is on the floor.
Definitely.
As a Sonic fan, this had me very, very hyped. And the one final thing that I want to leave everybody with before we move on from Sonic X Shadow Generations is this next little bit of awesome crossover content that we got a little bit of a taste of it last week, but this week they blew it out. And if you're watching on the screen right now, you've got a couple of people. One of these guys is the Western Sonic head honcho, and you're seeing the DC Cross Sonic the Hedgehog crossover event.
Yeah, all over the place. Big ups to Sonic Crew.
It's kind of crazy, Drix, because again, this is the last thing I'll talk about before we move into our game review for They Came From the Sky 2. But this is pretty amazing because they mentioned in this little mini interview going on, this spot, I guess you could call it, that their lead writer, first of all, Sonic, Shadow is not the only one. Shadow is Batman, Knuckles is Superman, Amy is Wonder Woman, and Sonic is the Flash. This is a full crossover, complete with with their own DC Sonic the Hedgehog comics. And the writer that DC got for the Sonic DC crossover is none other than the current writer for the Sonic geez, I forget what IDW comic, and he's also an Archie Sonic Comics alumni, Ian Flynn.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite the resume. This is going to be a lot of cool animated stuff with Sonic and especially Shadow everywhere. Knuckles as Superman. Yeah. You would have told me that as a kid. I would have said you're a liar.
Yeah, and you know, it's full on. They're going ham on this. So big ups to Sonic. I personally can't wait for all this cool stuff. I love Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. The Shadows anime is probably the only way to like tell the Maria story, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Just needs a little bit of anime grid on it.
Yeah. I would say that's pretty much. Hell, that's probably the most tasteful way you could do it at this point. You don't want to be telling people to go back and play Shadow the Hedgehog on the PS2 because that game is garbage. As a lifelong Sonic fan and as someone who like enjoyed Shadow the Hedgehog for what it was, holy shit, man, that game's bad. Conceptually, epic. Execution, bad. Terrible. But that was the Sonic X Shadow Generations Sonic Central that happened on Tuesday. And fellas, if you're into Sonic at all, Sonic X Shadow Generations comes out next month on the 25th. You get to play it 3 days early if you got the digital deluxe. Sonic the Hedgehog the movie 3 comes out this December 24th, and the Sonic X Shadow Generations, that's such a mouthful. Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings, the anime series. Episode 1 is out now, and it's out on all the Sonic socials. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. You could go watch that episode right now.
Sweet. Yeah. I got to get on that after this stream.
And right after this segment, Drix, it's time for our game review for They Came From the Sky 2. You're seeing it here on the B-roll. Drix, I got to tell you, this game, They Came From the Sky 2, one of the most charming little games I've played in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it was good enough they had to make a sequel.
Right. I checked out the previous installment as well. Before I jump into it, because it does have a little bit of bearing on this title that you're watching right now. Before I get into that, this game, They Came From the Sky 2, you're seeing it on the screen, arcade, side-scrolling. I like to think of it as almost a Rampage-like, if you've ever played that game where you're just terrorizing everything around you. You're destroying buildings, you're killing people, you're abducting them with your UFO, or your tractor beam, your UFO tractor beam, and you're fighting bosses. You're seeing it on the screen right now, the giant bosses coming from the sky. So I'll say it like this. This game is very simple. There's not a lot to it. You just go, you'll see it on the screen. You have little jumps. You can duck to avoid certain projectiles. They are not very universal mechanics. They don't cover you completely, but they get the job done. Because Drix, even though you can only move left and right, there is no 3D movement, and there is nothing else you can really do other than move left and right, shoot, abduct people, and stomp.
Nice. I mean, sometimes simple is kind of the way, gets things done a little faster. Things don't get too cluttered, too distracting. And yeah, I'm really digging the sprite work on this.
Yes, the sprite work is incredible. And you know what? It's
like reverse Space Invaders, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the feel. And you know what? It's funny that you say it like that, because that arcade style action, like I said before, it's very simple. You're only moving left and right. You have one gun to shoot, and you have one other button that does your tractor beam. Now you aim with the right stick, but that's hardly anything that needs to be really, really worked on. The thing that makes this game feel, or I should say, have an old school authentic arcade feel is, first of all, Drix, this game is tough.
Oh, is that what's gonna do it?
This game is tough. That's just one part. This game is pretty tough, very deceptively tough. It really eases you in because you just begin by terrorizing a bunch of people. Then they start throwing the local cops at you. And then all of a sudden, it just goes off the rails like a goddamn pretty much like a Grand Theft Auto game.
Oh yeah, you get all 5 stars.
To where you get,
there.
I wish you got the stars because you get rolled up on by the military so fast, and in the blink of an eye, like after you take down that first boss, Drix, they are gonna start throwing tanks and artillery at you. Oh my God, this screen on the bottom right there are snipers that pop out from the top of the buildings that are hard to see because they're not with the other guys. Drix, this screen gets overwhelming.
Wow.
Shit comes from the sky. Yeah. There are superheroes that try to literally fly at you, Superman style, and like knock you out. It's crazy.
Yeah, once all the world's powers, focus their attention on you, it probably gets pretty tough for an alien invader.
Not to mention all the different kinds of other smaller effects, like there's weather effects. You're seeing it right here. There's thunder and lightning and rain. Sometimes that thunder hits you, it overloads your weapons. Sometimes it hits the pedestrians and it just vaporizes them. And Drix, that's not cool. You want to be the guy killing all these guys and abducting all these guys. You see that little combo counter that happens? That combo counter happens when you just start wanton destroying things, boom, one after another. And Drix, that thing's gotta go high because even though this game is tough and it's hectic and shit happens everywhere, that's exactly how the arcade feel. And that's where that authenticity comes from. That arcade feel and authenticity is really felt when you're losing yourself and losing the time that you set aside to play. Drix, I put 6 hours into this game. Huh? I literally sat and could not stop playing it for the first day for like 6 hours.
Wow, yeah. You just had to keep putting your metaphorical tokens in it, right?
And Drix, it wasn't even like crazy. I didn't even beat the first level. I didn't beat the first level until the next day.
Oh, wow.
Like,
yeah, you had your own Neo 2 experience.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Because the game doesn't start so the progression is when you beat a boss, the area around you widens so you can effectively go further along in the world. Because the further you can move away, the further that you can kite the cops and the military. So that you can kind of round them all up and get them and start taking them out, because you start very underpowered in this game and you get new technology and new upgrades by abducting a specific type of person. And that type of person, Drix, is Elvis Presley impersonators.
Wow. Yeah, that definitely gives the game a personality of sorts.
It's pretty funny. I don't think it's ever explained. And another thing is there are collectibles called artifacts. And Drix, these artifacts, they're things such as sunglasses, a diaper.
What?
It's a soda can. These are things aliens have never seen before.
Yeah, not quite what you'd expect from power-ups or collectibles.
So, since it has all of these little elements, as you're just feeling out the game flow, which is deceptively hardcore, you always need to be looking forward. You always want to be trying to be thinking about who you want to abduct versus who you want to kill. And Drix, sometimes, things just get so out of hand that you just got to wipe out everybody in your way. Elvis impersonators be damned. Just take them all out. It doesn't matter. I need the score because I got to get this big blimp guy to spawn. So,
dude,
yeah,
pretty chaotic.
It is chaotic, but it's so much fun, and it's a lot. It's one of those games that you could lose yourself in how simple the gameplay loop is, but when there's 8 different upgrades that you can get in total. And they all cost multiples of hundreds of abducted people. So to get those upgrades, you're really going to be working for them. And when you're going for those upgrades, you really do just get lost in the gameplay loop. You might go in to a round of They Came From the Sky 2 thinking that, you know what, I'm just going to go for like 80 abductees. That's my goal.
Yeah.
No. It's going to get chaotic, and you're going to be like, I need to live.
You're like, let me do this one objective and just get immediately sidetracked by survival.
Well, at least when the military starts rolling up on you, when they start pulling out tanks and artillery and paratroopers and fighter jets, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it might pull your attention somewhat.
Yeah, it'll pull your attention a little bit. So you know what, Drix? All that being said, push comes to shove, I believe that They Came From the Sky 2 is an awesome, simple pixel experience with a lot of personality that is deceptively easy to get lost in, because you don't really know how hardcore the game can feel until you're at that like 4-hour mark and you're like, holy shit.
It's been 4 hours.
It's been 4 hours. This is awesome. Like,
I might be having fun. By Jove, you've got it.
A lot of fun. So, for me, the vector score for CFM Radio on They Came From the Sky 2, this is the console edition. Preface, the PC version came out last year. The console edition of these games runs great. I didn't have a problem with my controller or the controller controls. As opposed to anything else, I was not aware that this was a PC game first, and I actually thought that it was made for consoles. So, with that in mind, even though I do have nitpicks, it's not perfect. There are a couple of sound effects that get grating, and It might be hard for someone to stick with the game in the beginning because the play area is very small and your character is very underpowered in the very beginning. So you might bounce off of it. But I think that once this game gets its hooks in you, it's over, Drix. And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Nice. Good time. They came from space 2.
Oh, They Came From the Sky 2.
I
thought it was They Came From Space 2 as well, dude. I thought so too. But I was like, nah, I had to double check that myself like 2 or 3 times. Like I think I might have even said it during my review. But it is They Came From the Sky 2. That is available on every major platform, Xbox, PS4, PS5, and Nintendo Switch. And if you're just looking for some sort of pick up and play and go, this is the game for you. 4 out of 5, CFM Radio. You heard it here.
Very nice.
And I think with that, we're gonna jump into the news, starting with new releases. But Drix, before that, you got me moving to this jam we got going in the back. What is this?
This is from Rave Racer, part of the Ridge Racer series. The song is called Rare Hero 3 Pacific Mix.
Rare Hero 3 Pacific Mix from Rave Racer. I've never heard of that one. This is CFM Radio. CFM Radio. We'll be back.
Freak Knuckles, and we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ready? I ain't gonna let it get to me. I'm just gonna creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here. I can sense it in my feet. The gray emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkins in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back 'em up. then I searched as I climbed up the wall. And then I started to fly, I went in deeper. Let it get to me, I'm just gon' creep. Down Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head, I have no fear. It probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. A ghost try to approach me, he got leery. Just gon' creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here. I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkins in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back him up with a fist metal crackle. I'm hearing someone saying, you a chicken, don't be scared. It had to be the wind, cause nobody wasn't there. I searched and I searched as I climbed up the wall. And then I started to fly, I went in deeper. Let it get to me, I'm just gon' creep. Down Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head, I have no fear. It probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. A ghost try to approach me, he got leery. Spooky up in here, it's crazy in here. We still gon' keep it going, I'm Knuckles. Nobody scares me. Whoever wanted, bring it. I don't care, we can do this.
CFM Radio, we are back.
We are live. I'm starting to feel a little spooky, this being the last show of September, so that was A Ghost's Pumpkin Soup, the Pumpkin Hill stage from Sonic Adventure 2.
And
right now you got a little bit of Guile's theme, but for the Sharp X6800 going right now.
And God, this sound chip is amazing. You know, this Guile theme, Drix, it goes with anything. I don't care if you're brushing your teeth, changing a tire, or gaming, or fighting yourself.
Working out at the gym.
It's
definitely on my super on my pinball playlist when I'm
right?
playing in tournaments.
Exactly. Guile theme goes with everything. And you know what? Sharp 6800, that motherfucker, that machine was like a supercomputer. If you look up specs for that bad boy, oh my God, that thing is insane.
Yes, the Sega Saturn of its time. Only in Japan too.
Only in Japan.
I think those didn't even make it to the States. So, you know, kids growing up around me where I live wouldn't have even had the opportunity to get one.
Yeah, put it up, chalk it up there, right with the 64 DD. Would never see that thing as a kid.
Nope.
But I'll tell you what we do see, and what you'll probably see some if you're looking forward to these games over the horizon. We got new releases, Drix.
Oh yeah, every week. Definitely one of my highlights is bringing you guys the latest releases.
We do love our new releases. It's always great having something to play, having something new to play. And first up, Drix, we have Shadows of Doubt.
Ooh, yeah. Don't let your intrusive thoughts win playing this one.
From the Steam page, quote, an immersive sandbox detective stealth game set in a fully simulated sci-fi noir city of crime and corruption. Think like a private investigator and take on jobs to earn cash on your path to catching a serial killer. If you don't catch them, they will kill again. This procedurally generated mystery thriller hits the PS4, or the PC, PS5, sorry, and Xbox Series consoles tomorrow, September 26th. That's a Thursday. Drix, this game looks pretty crazy. And from what I understand, it's been in early access on the PC for a while.
Yeah, definitely digging this this art style. It's kind of like not just a side scroller with its pixel art, but a lot of deep environments, almost in that like pseudo point and click style. We've kind of been, we love our indie games. We like to show those off here every week when they come out.
Yes, because those indie games, Drix, they're some of those things. They're like the lifeblood of the industry. You got to support these indie games because if you really like what these guys do, this is like the best way to support them and show big names that you want them to make more games. Especially a game like this, very unique, procedurally generated murder mystery. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, we like to pride ourselves on being the sort of art house outlet, exposing you to things you may not otherwise see elsewhere on the internet.
And hey, you know what? I don't know if anybody else knows about this next game because it's also a voxel style visuals, but it's a spin-off of a very popular franchise that a lot of people have come to love and that we just had an installment for a couple episodes ago in CFM Radio. It is Earth Defense Force World Brothers 2.
Yeah, tried and true tested team, but back in Minecraft block form.
From the Steam page, quote, the square Earth is under attack by giant enemies, giant ants, giant spiders, giant bees, giant scorpions, giant UFOs, giant robots, giant monsters, and if that weren't enough, there are also giant aliens, and even giant EDF soldiers. The situation seems hopeless. Still, there's nothing more satisfying than taking down these invading foes. This voxel bug killer spin-off hits the PC, PS4, PS5, and Switch tomorrow, Thursday the 26th again. And Drix, EDF is one of those games, it's like super janky, right? And like it's like people really like how like weird and off the wall it is. And you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to make a spin-off for this seem goofier than to do it like a Minecraft style.
Yeah, or like one of the Lego games or something. It looks pretty cool though. I mean, you're gonna have a good time running around blasting aliens with your friends, and now you just have a great way of looking at things in a I don't know, more chibi and cutesy art style.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's one of those things that like I think
You're
everybody
knocking blocks off,
I was gonna say I think anybody who is like a Gundam fan, right? Or like a Dragon Ball fan. You've
seen either an anime or kaiju movie.
Yeah, you're down with this kind of chibi reimagining. You know what I mean? Like, at least I am. I like this kind of stuff. I like it when they like when they take something like really really recognizable like this and they do the little shrink down like this, like the SD Gundam.
Yeah, exactly. It's already kind of campy, and you just go on ahead and lean right into it.
Super, super fun. Super cool.
Yeah, World Brothers 2.
And finally, probably the biggest release of the week is The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Oh yeah, big time release in the Zelda franchise. Except you're playing as the title character, Zelda.
Yes, the titular Zelda. And Drix, I don't know if the old school players out there listening should be worried, but she's got a wand.
Yeah, look out. And with that wand, she will do some summoning.
Thankfully, it's not the wand of Gamelon.
Yeah, different wand, different disc running system.
From the Switch store page, quote, the people of Hyrule are being stolen away by strange rifts that have appeared throughout the kingdom. With a certain swordsman among the missing, it's up to Princess Zelda to save her kingdom in a brand new adventure in the Legend of Zelda series. Drix, this one also hits tomorrow on Thursday, September the 26th. And you know what? That's pretty cool. First time that we've played as Zelda in a mainline game. Asterisk. Like,
Yeah. In recent history.
In recent history, yes. And you know what? I don't know. A lot of people got down on this Playmobil visual style. I don't know. I think it really worked for the Link's Awakening remake, and I think it really works for something like this. I do. It's very charming.
Yeah, and it kind of brings you back to that top-down sort of camera angle for Zelda too, instead of the 3D that we've been used to since Ocarina of Time.
Yes, I think it is I also think that you hit the nail on the head. I think it's a really, really good way to preserve that old school gameplay style.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, just imagine the puzzles, summoning objects and monsters and stuff. Like, that's kind of what, you said it when you were reviewing Tears of the Kingdom a while back. Like, those dungeons, those puzzles, like, that's kind of what made the Zelda franchise what it is.
Yeah, and it looks like Tears of the Kingdom. I was going to say, Tears of the Kingdom looks like it has had a little bit of an impact on Echoes of Wisdom, because you're seeing these Tears of the Kingdom style Ultra Hand-esque movements on screen right now.
Yeah, definitely some visual adaptation going on in the 3D world and on the Switch.
So I think that if anything, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom will probably be one of those games that, I'm going to predict it's going to be one of the sleeper titles that not many people really check out. But this is, if you're a Zelda fan, this is probably one that you really want to check out. Just from this overview launch trailer, it looks like there's a lot of mechanics and gameplay elements that are literally tailored for old school and new players alike.
Yeah, so if your favorite Zelda is A Link to the Past or Link's Awakening on the Game Boy Color or something, this is probably right up your alley.
So don't miss Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. That hits tomorrow on your Switch. If you want to get it right now, you want to play it? It's going to be 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Go download that bad boy. You might be able to pick it up
on East Coast time.
Go download that bad boy. It's going to be great. I think it's actually part of the game voucher system.
Oh, yeah. So if you got one of those lying around digitally,
you could pop that bad boy in there right now, redeem yourself some Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Comes out tomorrow, which probably means it'll be out tonight at midnight or 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Might even be able to play it in the next hour after CFM Radio.
After CFM Radio. And you know what, Drix? That'll do it for the new releases. I got a couple of quick runs to mention, though. We got Balatro for mobile. Friday night. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit for consoles coming out this week. EA Sports FC is also the game coming out on Friday. EA Sports FC 25. It's available now for your Ultimate Edition buyers, and on Friday.
For the football fans.
Yes, for the football fans. And for Friday, and it'll be on Friday, September 27th for everyone else. But if you want to play EA Sports FC right now, you can if you buy that Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, we're in that realm.
Exactly. Hey, you know what, Drix? I can't complain. Again, I said it earlier. If you want to play Sonic X Shadow Generations, or you could play it for 3 days early if you get the Digital Deluxe.
Yes, that's where we're at in games.
Unfortunately, but you know what? What's not unfortunate, Drix? This little mix you've got going on here, Drix. What is this 8-bit cacophony we got?
This is from an NES game called Mechanized Attack, and it's one of those NES games that just the song's called track number 6, BGM 6.
There you go, guys. Keeping it simple. CFM Radio. We'll be back. CFM Radio.
magical thoughts. All things are real unless you dream they're not. In your dreams, love is the plot, carried on wings of hope. Each of our souls intertwine when we do. Instantly we see it, the time to grow and be it, when everything is pinned on a hold. Let rise the dreams of your heart, that innocent youth, careless and kind, free to roam the breeze in love, only when two brilliantly shine as one. I would never ever run away. I'll be here to fight another day. I will make you realize I'll always be right by your side. Now our love is sanctified. I'm here to bust this groove. Bust through. I would never ever run away. I'll be here to fight another day. I will make you realize I'll always be right by your side. Now our love is sanctified. I'm here to bust this groove. Bust through. I would never ever run away. I just can't live without you now. I'll be here to fight another day. Gonna see it through, no matter how. I would never ever run away. I'll be here to fight another day. I will make you realize I'll always be right by your side. Now our love is sanctified. I'm here to bust this groove. Bust through. Bust through.
CFM Radio, we are back, and you heard that right. It is video game news time.
Man, you might want to give that last guy a lozenge, because that song was called Cough Drops from the Neverhood. And before that, we had Kitty N from Bust a Groove, and a song called Wings from Lunar, the Silver Story Complete, which will be coming up in the news right here, actually.
It will be, and you know what? Before we jump into this state of play discussion, Drix, I gotta say, Kitty N always makes me bust a groove.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Enix before they joined with Square.
Oh yeah.
And that Bust a Groove series has some classic tracks on it. I'm
totally
always coming
forgot
back to those.
Enix.
Yeah, in case of emergency, break the glass on those Bust a Groove soundtracks.
Hell yeah. And you know what? We're gonna break the glass on this Sony State of Play. It happened on Tuesday, the same day as the Sonic Central, the Sonic X Shadow Generations presentation. And Drix, listen. There was a fair mix of old and new in this State of Play.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was pretty impressive overall.
Yeah, I definitely saw some trailers I liked.
Me too. You're seeing one right here. The sequel to Ghost of Tsushima was revealed. It is Ghost of Yotai.
Yeah, they knew that one was hot because they saved it for last.
And that's why we're starting off with it, Drix. Drix, I was a huge fan of the original Ghost of Tsushima game. And I gotta say, this trailer has me hyped for the next chapter. I loved the story, all the stories that were in every chapter of Jin Sakai's life. And I don't know about you, Drix, but the ending of that game had me feeling emotional. And I don't know how this game is going to top it.
Yeah. Wow. The samurai heads north, right? Hunted by other Ronin. I'm excited. I didn't even play the first one. It makes me want to pick that first one up real soon.
Man, if you haven't played the first one, you got to try that game. It's definitely a must play.
I have only heard good things about it.
Especially if you're an old school samurai guy, like you like samurai films, you play that game in Kurosawa mode, you're holy shit.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a whole other layer to that onion.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. Ghost of Tsushima, great game. Ghost of Yotai, gonna be another awesome game, at least from the looks of it. You see the beautiful landscapes and the beautiful the 3D models that go on, and this comes from the
light work, the snow.
And that's a reflection of the first game. The first game also had these incredible dynamic environments, but this game looks like it's going to be doubling down. And Drix, I know that people say the ray tracing on the PS5, it's nothing special, whatever, you have your complaints about it, but from these trailers, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, they're getting their ray tracing's worth. Like, the console generation is here, it's been, but like, man, they're still making some beautiful works of art for this PS5 hardware.
And that hopefully that PS5 Pro is really going to step things up. I don't think I'm going to be able to grab one, but I'm sure that anyone who will be able to grab a PS4 or PS5 Pro, from every news account that I keep seeing online that's been trickling over the past few days, all outlets have a very, very positive impression of the PS5 Pro.
Yeah, good news for sidecar disc tray companies too.
Yeah, serious.
But yeah, I think visually the enhancements are, they're probably gonna be worth the price.
Probably. I'm sure that if you are one of those people like Mark Cerny described, where you just don't want to pick between performance and I guess fidelity mode, right? Like you don't want to pick. You don't want to make that decision. I'm sure that is the console for you. But you know what, Drix? Another game that I'm really looking forward to that I saw at the Sony State of Play is the one you're seeing right here, Dynasty Warriors Origins. Funny name for a franchise that keeps retelling the same period of history.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's 9 of them, probably 16 with the Empire spinoff.
Oh, Jesus. Then you think the Samurai Warriors? Like.
Yeah. How canon is that too? Like how does that play into the ancient tale of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms?
Yeah.
But man, I am a huge Dynasty Warriors fan.
Me too.
I loved when they jumped from being like a one-on-one fighting game to like a beat 'em up where you're just knocking out thousands of dudes in a single battle. So I'm stoked for this. It looks beautiful, and I love the gameplay.
Drix, I think Jeff Gerstmann said it best on his podcast this week or last week when he says, man, I'm really happy that they keep making these games, and they make every time it just looks a little bit better, and they shove another like 20 guys on the screen.
Yeah. Here's some characters from India now, you know. It's just ancient Chinese medieval Madden,
Absolutely. Hey, Joseph Ledesma in the chat sharing our nostalgia for Dynasty Warriors. Amazing franchise, amazing game, and guess what? This game looks pretty awesome. But what you're seeing right now on the screen, Lego Horizon Zero Dawn, or Lego Horizon. Drix, this wasn't the only Horizon thing that they showed at this either. They got the whole Horizon Zero Dawn remaster for the PS5.
Yeah, she's remade in 4K.
Yep.
And also in Legos.
Yes, 4K or Legos. If you are a fan of Aloy or the PlayStation stuff, you see all these different Horizon characters jumping around in PlayStation character gear. If you're a fan of any of this one will also be this Lego Horizon Zero Dawn, that is, will also be on the Switch.
Very nice. Yeah, that's cool. Bring some of that Lego fun for the Switch players as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm probably going to pick up the $10 upgrade when that comes out.
Listen, Horizon Zero Dawn was an awesome game.
Yeah. No, it was. I didn't spend enough time with it, but it was beautiful and fun, interesting open world.
I will say, if you're a fan of the Horizon stuff, I understand that Horizon Zero Dawn, it wasn't that long ago, and they had a patch that made it run better on the PS5 and the PC after the fact. But you know what? Like Drix is saying, if you're a fan and you really enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, I think it's worth it to check out the $10 upgrade.
Yeah, definitely. I would like my dubstep dinosaurs to look as good as they can. Just
absolutely.
Robot animals running around, thrashing things about.
And Drix, this is another one. You're seeing it on the screen. This is the Midnight Walk, and I couldn't believe that the game looked like this.
Yeah, I love to see this. There was that one other clay sort of hand sculpted game that came out a while back, but I'm so into this visual style, especially for like a horror game or something creepy. You're gonna have some interesting nightmare fuel charging after you in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, you know what? For a VR game, there was a lot of VR stuff here too. You had this one, you had Metro VR, and there was a couple other VR titles for a VR game. But I will say, for the VR section of the presentation, Drix, this game, The Midnight Walk, takes the cake.
Yeah, actually. I mean, stuff that's going to haunt you in your dreams.
Yeah.
But in a fun way.
Hopefully more fun than traumatic, right? Like
yeah, they're just spicy memories from playing video games.
Spicy gaming memories for your for your memory perusal. That's The Midnight Walk.
Yeah. Like when you first met the Nemesis in Resident Evil.
Or even Mr. X. Or even Pyramid Head. So that's The Midnight Walk. It's coming for PS5 and PSVR 2, but it's looking like the PSVR 2 is going to be the way to fully immerse yourself in The Midnight Walk. Next up,
Yeah, what a world.
Drix, did you think this day would come when we're seeing what we're seeing on the screen?
What? Sorry, my scream's catching up. You talking about Astrobot?
Nah, man.
Oh no, you're talking the Legacy coming back.
The legacy of our good old boy Kane.
Yeah, man, friend of the Dreamcast even.
Wow, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, the Legacy of Kane, Soul Reaver 1 and 2, coming, remastered. You're seeing it right here. The old graphics turning into the new graphics. And hey, you know what? It's the same game. It's not a remake, right? But
No.
I think these updated visuals look fantastic. And Drix, you know, I think this game deserves a remake. But at the same time, I'm hoping that if enough of this game moves, that we get a whole new Legacy of Kane or even a reboot.
Yeah, I would love to see more Kane or Azrael, any of this story come back to the surface. Good. This is good. This is real vampire stuff. This isn't like Twilight, you know? Like
100%. That's one of those games you didn't really. Games really didn't have weren't very cinematic like that until Legacy of Kane, right?
Yeah, right. Even with just like all the voiceover in the first two original Legacy of Kane games, and like that was pretty immersive for the time.
And you know what?
It's always good when you can have a before and after in a trailer. That probably sells copies, right?
Oh, hell yeah. And you know what else is pretty immersive for the time? The one you're seeing right here. And this is Lunar. This is the Complete Collection Remastered. And if you're a fan of JRPGs like me, Lunar is one of those old school franchises that never seems to go away, like Ys or Disgaea. And but, you know, Lunar, it's talk about cinematic game.
Yeah,
you're seeing
full on like animated OVA videos and stuff.
You're seeing it on the screen.
That really drew me to this game on the PS1 originally.
I played these on the Saturn, and man, you know, talk about immersion. Talk about putting you in the world. Those fully animated OVAs, they were so good.
Yeah, totally cool. That's kind of sets a standard. You know, if you're not Cloud over there playing Final Fantasy VII, then like this is what a JRPG is right here.
It really was. It really did feel like that for the time too. You know, because there were a lot of people don't like to remember there were a lot of JRPGs back in the day. Not a lot of them were great, but the great ones, the ones that people still talk about today, were great for a reason. You know, your Xenogears, your Lunars, your Final Fantasies, they brought something new to the table. For Lunar, it was those OVA style cutscenes.
Yeah, you know, it had more familiar stuff on the Saturn too.
Yes.
But, you know, it might have been the style at the time.
Might have just been the style at the time. And you know what, Drix? This is another one that we got. You're seeing it on the screen. I do believe this one is Hell Is Us.
Yeah, this is a cool new, you know, and pretty dark looking game. And you know, the horror must be you from within or something. It's cool. We're seeing an interesting take on a third-person action game.
Yeah, especially if it does have to do with a lot of that internal struggle, right? Like you're literally fighting your inner demons, kind of thing. Pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
The Souls-like action looks pretty interesting, and when you're combined, there aren't a lot of these Souls-like games that lean heavily into the sci-fi aspect, like Hell Is Us is in this game. There are a few, but they are far between. That's kind of what puts this game a little bit different. Piques my interest too.
Yeah, Souls-like, but you've got a quad rotor drone to help you out.
Hell yeah, that's Hell Is Us. That's coming out. That's another Nacon game. If you like your Remnant game style games, you want to be looking out for that.
Yeah, no, that's where that darkness comes from visually.
And you know what, Drix? We're gonna close off this discussion with a game that I know you can't wait for, and that is the latest Monster Hunter release.
Oh yeah, time to hit the wilds, because it has been a while since Rise and Sunbreak came out. You know, originally on the Switch too, but this feels like it's you know, it's PS5 worthy. It is a modern installment of the Monster Hunter franchise, and I'm seeing Alicos everywhere, and yeah, can't wait to get hunting in those wilds. with my cat friends.
And man, Drakes, I've said it before. I'm not too big of a Monster Hunter guy, mainly because I'm not too big of a fan of the grinding and the crafting. But I can't deny, Drakes, these fights look incredible.
Yeah. No, again, you might be seeing some ray tracing at work
Yeah.
in some of the lighting in these environments and stuff. Looks a little bit darker and a little bit grittier than what we've seen in World and
True,
Rise.
you're
as well.
right.
Yeah. So not too unlike, Hell Like Us or Remnant, like we just talked about. But they gave the cats voiceovers. They actually talk. Like, that's it. I gotta get
We're
it.
in.
I'm sold. You might have struck my bias right there. I've been playing Monster Hunter long enough, at least since World, but I know people who have they used to play at school on their PSPs,
Oh, nice. All right.
And,
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. If you find somebody who's willing to play Monster Hunter with you and enjoys the gameplay loop and stuff, you have a lot of hours of replayability and post game. In Worlds they called it the guiding lands and stuff, where you can just farm all kinds of crazy materials, make all kinds of crazy stuff. It gets to the RuneScape point where you're just oh yeah, I want to get all this armor and other fun things after you beat the actual game and roll the credits. You can still come back and play it and just go on hunts with your pals or your palicos.
And Drakes, this is what this state of play was all about. It was all about these games centered around the third parties and mostly titles that clearly that fans were looking forward to. God, it must have been 3 or 4 months by now that we reported at the last Sony financial meeting with their new heads of the company that over at Sony, the word for them, February 28th, that Monster Hunter game comes out, by the way, next year, if you guys are looking for it.
Yeah.
But on the Sony side, you guys got to remember, Sony said straight up that they themselves in-house aren't really going to be pushing a lot of their PlayStation franchises out the door this year.
Yeah, right? Maybe taking some time to tinker away at some important franchises.
Either that, or they're trying. We saw it in this presentation for the State of Play, and it was easy to dismiss, right? I'll say it like that, because it was a sizzle reel of a bunch of games that the PS5 Pro was enhancing itself for, or these games were enhanced for the PS5 Pro. But
some new colors of controllers.
Right? Yeah, new colors of controllers. God, don't even get me started on the PlayStation 30th anniversary stuff. But I will say, again, let's go back to the first quarter meeting and realize that Sony Japan and Sony Computer Entertainment of America, they both said, they pretty much called out third parties and said, hey, we made the console, where's the games?
Yeah, come on, developers, get to work.
Yeah, and Drix, Sony did announce a couple of games that could draw some attention, but I can understand how people may be disappointed with the presentation. I certainly wasn't. There's a lot of games I'm looking forward to right here, and I saw some new stuff from some of these games. But I will also say, Drix, that I think people, even though you may be disappointed, you might want to temper your expectations. Sony said that this is what the plan was.
Yeah, let the developers take over and make you the games that make you want the console, so they can focus on hardware and whatever else it is Sony does.
And hey, when it comes to that PS5 Pro and that sizzle reel of a bunch of games that are enhanced for the PS5 Pro, it really leads me to believe that they really are taking that mid-generation refresh seriously. They want you to pick it up. And if all of these other gaming outlets are to be believed, the PS5 Pro is visibly better.
Yeah. Even put your PS4 game in there and AI upscale it.
Yep.
I mean, not physically, of course, but maybe with a sidecar.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I talk to a lot of people who are into film, and film has been having this issue with AI upscaling and AI scene filling, where when you watch one of these movies or Blu-rays that have the AI interference, let's say, and you freeze frame it, there are things that are clearly wrong.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those.
And like muddy and don't look great. So maybe when you're playing a game and everything is in motion and the AI is filling those blanks, right, in your resolution, it might be a little less noticeable because you're moving and the action is going. But when I hear AI upscaling, I get a little wary. That's just me. But
yeah, motion blur good or motion blur bad?
Exactly. That's exactly where I come from. In my estimation, motion blur bad. Oh.
Yeah, I usually turn it off too, especially in photo mode.
God, especially in Final Fantasy fucking 16. Holy shit. Like,
Yep.
some of the worst motion blur I've ever experienced in a video game.
Yeah. Thanks for giving me that setting to turn that off, though.
Thank you, Square. But that's about it for me and the state of play. Was there anything you wanted to add, Drix?
Nah, man. You know, it's pretty nice to see Helldivers and Astrobot. That's kind of cool. And Homegirl from Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
I like where Astrobot's going. I would like to pick that one up. And the Knuckles pack with Shadow.
Yeah,
the
the
Shadow
Shadow.
X Generations DLC
Oh, from
that
the
has
movie.
Keanu Reeves as Shadow from the movie. That's I don't usually get excited for DLC, but that sounds like a good time. So another reason to pick up Sonic X Shadow Generations when that happens.
Absolutely. And you know what, Drix? We love to talk about Joseph Ledesma, Dynasty Warriors. Me too, bro. Me too. I can't wait to play some next-gen Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah. I hope you get the Create-A-Skater of your Dynasty Warrior.
Oh my
you know?
God, dude.
That's
Like,
kind of what I'm getting here is like, oh, instead of picking somebody, you get to make your own dude and tell your own story.
oh my God. Customized Muso character. Holy shit. It's like Dynasty Warriors Gundam. Oh,
Yeah. Love it.
and you know what, Drix? Here's the thing. We're winding the show down, but we have one last story for you. And we love our fun and games on this, and we hate to end things on downers. But guys, we gotta talk.
Yeah, a little bit of gossip.
A little bit
here.
about
A
this.
bit of game gossip.
About this blow up with you saw it on the screen right there. Annapurna Interactive.
Yeah, there's this trend of like game developers leaving their former studios and then being like, you know what? Just pirate that game. Like, we're not getting the money anyway, you know? You should go ahead and steal it from wherever you can. We just want you to play it. Like, don't give people who didn't work on the game, you know, more money.
So if anyone else out there listening didn't know, last week, the entire staff of Annapurna Interactive, those are the guys behind Stray, Cocoon, The Outer Wilds, that publishing house resigned, all of them, following the departure of their president, Nathan Gary. And that was after some negotiations with Annapurna founder and millionaire Megan Ellison that went clearly afoul. We didn't really know a lot of the details, but just last Friday, IGN released an article that dove into the details on this unprecedented historic event. The headline is, quote, "Inside Annapurna Interactive's mass walkout. Internal politics, the surprise remedy deal, and why it all happened."
Yeah, a little bit of somebody's work drama making it out into the streets.
Now, cutting into the meat of this issue here is a little bit messy. The article itself dives into Annapurna's history, detailing key leadership individuals, such as former Sony creative director Nathan Gray, or Nathan Gary, one of the big names in this story, former executive producer Deborah Mars, and former Sony producer Hector Sanchez, Sony Computer Entertainment alumni, over here kicking it at Annapurna Interactive. An important piece of context, though, to keep in mind, Drex, before moving forward, is the part of this article right here. Quote, Variety reports that founder Megan Ellison disappeared from public life in 2019, almost entirely, leaving her business to largely run itself during the height of the pandemic. She reemerged in 2021, only to name Gary president over all of Annapurna, with Mars and Vela stepping into co-roles at the interactive division, or co-head roles at the interactive division.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, the king gets sick, has to rely on some vassals to rule in their place. Sure.
Yeah, and again,
in the feudal form of things.
Indeed. Again, keep that in the back of your head as we move forward here. So reading further, under his guidance, they claim resources were pulled away from film and TV. Key executives were pushed out, and the company was largely refocused on gaming. Annapurna tells IGN that Gary also elevated co-founder James Massey to Chief Administrative Officer, Chief Administrative Officer, a role the spokesperson suggested was unnecessary at a company of Annapurna's size. When approached by IGN, Gary declined to comment.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It's all right. Remain private when asked by IGN. But probably might not be like a nepotism hire, making up a title and giving it to somebody. Maybe they need, a chief administrative officer.
And hey, you know what? There could be. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt there, right? I agree with you there, Drix. He pretty much took over, and it sounds like he pretty much enforced a new vision on Annapurna, right?
Yeah, new cabinet, new staff, or it seems like the main concern was they were doing more film and TV stuff, and game makers want to make some games, huh?
They want to make some games, and an important part to note is that under Nathan Gary, the Annapurna company did create an animation division that did go on to be successful. So there may be some gossip about Gary's leadership in the film and TV sector, but he did produce some results. He clearly didn't completely snub the film and TV sector.
Yeah. Okay. Just, if somebody else was in charge, they might have used the resources differently, perhaps.
Sure. Just like any change in leadership, at least reading it, taking it at face value, most changes of leadership end up with that result, right?
Yeah. Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Now, this next part, though, is where we can have a peek into the beginnings of this whole messy fallout. Quote, this was the state of things at the start of 2024, according to our sources. The Nathan Gary controlling Annapurna in totality, that is. Prior to March of this year, work at Annapurna Interactive was business as usual, they say, until employees were suddenly informed mid-month that James Massey had unexpectedly been let go. An Annapurna spokesperson confirmed that Massey was made redundant, saying that Ellison had chose to step back in at the company and oversee the Annapurna Pictures side again in an effort to reinvest in the film and TV side of the business. As a part of this, Annapurna claims that Ellison reinstalled Gary as head of Interactive and deemed Massey's role unnecessary. However, at this time, Gary also left the company. Annapurna claims he left of his own accord in response to Massey's firing and his change in the role. But sources say employees were told in the following days by leadership within Annapurna Interactive that Gary had been fired, along with Massey. The belief that the two leaders had been fired, seemingly out of the blue, sparked confusion and fury, and a handful of individuals quit in protest, including at least one other interactive leader. Whoa!
Whoa.
Whoa!
Yeah. They didn't want to meet the new boss because it probably wasn't the same as the old boss, huh?
Was not the same as the old boss. And you know what? Here, all of this sounds wild, right, Drix? But I think this is where things take a turn. That even more of a turn than they already had, because we mentioned former Sony producer Hector Sanchez earlier as part of this team, but if you notice, he wasn't really part of the story, right?
Yeah, so far.
So, well, you know, the capital G gamers out there may know that this was the same Hector Sanchez who started Capybara Games in 2019. So at this point, he's been out of the picture of Annapurna Interactive. While it's, you know, that place is quietly in shambles, he's not even there. Though, even though Annapurna is messed up right now internally, there is a plan for recovery. Because reading further, quote, the plan was for Gary and the Annapurna Interactive staff to become a new company called Verset. And this was after they had all left because Megan Ellison had tried to bring everything back in. And this was the plan. Roughly, the plan was for Gary and the Annapurna Interactive staff to become a new company called Verset, with ownership split between Annapurna and Verset's leaders. Verset would oversee all currently existing signed Annapurna Interactive projects, with revenue split between itself and Annapurna proper in Annapurna's favor. It would also be free to sign its own independent deals.
Huh. Okay, so bit of a collaboration that just kind of misfired, huh?
A little bit, you know, at least there was some
Sideways
sort of
merger?
some sort of kind of opportunity.
Same but different.
You know?
Yeah,
Shake things
scratch
up.
your back, you scratch mine.
Right, exactly. We're all going to stay the same. We're all going to be in the same family, but you guys are like the sister company now, right?
Yeah, the vanity label. Sure.
Yeah.
Find your own deals if you like.
But you know, Drix, however, that wasn't the only plan at the Annapurna mothership. Quote, in early summer, sources tell us that employees discovered Hector Sanchez had been quietly rehired back at Annapurna by Ellison and was working on gaming projects without the knowledge of the rest of the Interactive staff. The news wasn't made official until August that Sanchez had been appointed president of Interactive and New Media at Annapurna, a title that seemed to some as potentially at odds with Vela and Mars's roles at Interactive.
Oh boy, they got a shadow employee secretly on the payroll.
I told you, Drix, this gets pretty messy.
Unbeknownst to the staff, like secret leadership, huh?
Hidden leadership, folks.
Formerly from Capybara?
Formerly from Capybara. And you know, Drix, per this report, not only he started Capybara, but then after that he left Capybara to go to Epic, and while he was working at Epic, Megan Ellison poached it.
Okay. Yeah, the one who disappeared around the pandemic.
Because, Drix, per this report, it seems that Sanchez got this title from being the one to form the deal with Remedy Entertainment for Control 2 and a TV series for Alan Wake.
Dang.
He was
that's
the guy.
Crazy. Kind of, they're just trading partners like square dancers over there.
You know, this obviously turned heads at Annapurna Interactive, and clearly from the reporting, and due to all of this confusion and indeed leadership decisions, we find ourselves with the news of this historic modern-day walkout. And Drix, you may ask, what about the game devs who had to sit on the sidelines as all of these deals fell through as this event occurred? Like, this, we talk about it here all the time on the show, guys. These game devs, these deals, they're made months, years in advance.
Yeah, they'll even hire somebody and not tell anybody. Man, how long do they keep that going? I mean, nobody likes being lied to, so
yeah.
No wonder a lot of the staff just said, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," and followed their leaders right out the door.
Right out the door. You know, from the article concerning the devs, quote, IGN also understands that despite the 2-week notice, partner developers did not learn about the sudden exodus of all their Annapurna contacts until a day or two before it occurred. Annapurna claims they didn't have enough time to collect developer contact information to alert them sooner, while Annapurna Interactive sources say they received no guidance from the company during that period as to who should tell developers when and how. An Annapurna spokesperson reached out post-publication to IGN to deny this, claiming it had active and open conversations with the interactive staff on how to communicate news. So, Drix, at the end of the day, this is just a company divided.
Yeah. Exciting.
Very
the
exciting.
Intrigue of it all.
Very exciting. Talk about Dynasty Warriors. Talk about
Yeah.
Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Yeah. I
Like-
mean, the real whose side are you on scenario if you're working over at Annapurna.
My God, Annapurna's out here, Megan Ellison out here being like Lou Boo.
Yeah, just trying to clear out the battlefield and install her own power.
Take them all out. Hey, you know what? Hector, dude, come on back. We don't need to tell Nathan. Nathan,
I mean,
all these guys. These guys, Annapurna Interactive, guess what, buddy? You're Annapurna Interactive.
here you go.
Here you go.
No development staff.
Hey, these guys are just a publishing house. They don't got to worry about that shit.
Yeah, right. Dang.
So,
Crazy industry we find ourselves following.
baby, you're telling
We've got our
me,
share of stories here.
baby. So, Drix, that's going to do it for us here on an extra special, extra long overtime version of CFM Radio. My God. But, we needed to do, Drix, at least for me, I feel like we needed to report on this Annapurna thing because I'm not gonna, this is some like depression era shit going on right here, right? Like,
Yeah.
In
No, I
what-
wonder how we're going to look back on this in a year or 5 years and be like, you remember that time? They all just walked
They
out.
literally
that
walked.
made that published that fun cat game,
yeah, those guys that published some of the most influential titles of the last 3 years. Like,
Yeah.
again, guys, Stray, The Outer Wilds, Cocoon. These are all games that received incredible critical reception. The technology in some of these games is amazing. Like, this is Annapurna Interactive probably developed one of your favorite games. Or
Yeah.
helped publish it. I shouldn't say developed, help publish it. They helped publish one of your favorite games. These guys really had some kind of eye for these, I guess, art house titles? Like,
Yeah. Brought them up to the surface for us to enjoy, get their little marketing games in action.
so, I'll leave us all with this. We might not be the biggest fans of Phil Spencer on the show. We might poke fun at Microsoft. And when you look at a couple of the members of the leadership and you look into their history a little bit, it is a bit of a head scratcher, and you might become a little worried at the direction of it all. But I will give him credit where credit is due, Drix. This industry is a changing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Phil Spencer hasn't had to deal with staff walking out just yet. He's too
Just
busy
yet.
closing- Microsoft is too busy closing game studios themselves.
Yeah, they're too. Hey, before you guys can walk, we're gonna kick you right out the door.
Yep. I'll always come back to Hi-Fi Rush. Thanks
Yeah.
for the award-winning game. Here's your pink slip.
Award-winning game.
We need more games like this.
Shinji Mikami himself thought the original founder of the studio believed, Drix, he believed that the studio, he came out and said the studio would be okay because of Hi-Fi Rush, and they still got cut.
Yeah, so anything can happen. It's the Wild West out in tech right now.
Anything can happen, Drix. Anything can happen in this crazy industry. And I'll say it like this. Buy the games you love. Play the games you love. Be in the community. Tell people about the games you love. if there's competitive scenes for them, integrate at least a little bit. Have your finger on the pulse.
Yep.
Because I could say it like this, guys. I got lucky. Me, as a Marvel vs. Capcom fan, got lucky that collection even saw the light of day. I don't think people realize how many stars needed to align for that Marvel vs. Capcom collection to see the light of day. Drix, I'll do a more obscure example. I don't even think I'm ever going to see a brand new Ogre Battle game again.
Yeah, doubt it. I mean, Unicorn Overlord's your best bet.
Yeah, that's it, right? That's my new Ogre Battle game.
All the successors will be spiritual, unless you're Sega bringing back Golden Axe or something.
Or fucking Sonic.
Yeah.
You know,
Sonic ain't going nowhere.
Sonic ain't going nowhere, baby. 4 more years. But that's the end of us here at CFM Radio. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. Thank you for chatting. Joseph Ledesma in here. All of our usuals. M. Stonewall C. Everybody in here. Thank you all for joining us. We love you. Be sure to check us out over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/CFM on Twitch. We got Mother Monday coming up. Drix is gonna be kicking it ass over there. He's gonna be crushing Earthbound. Tuesday, we got Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, even more. We stopped at Duelist Name Withheld. So we will continue to do battle against Duelist Name Withheld until we defeat her and move on. So until next time, guys, we will see you later. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for CFM Radio. And you know what, guys? If you guys love these Annapurna games, you better go play them.
Yeah, in these uncertain industry times, you can always count on us every Wednesday to bring you the video game music and news here on CFM Radio.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.